If you watch my last video, you will see I originally created a timeline for my working class project from the 1960s through to the 2020s, eventually cut down to just the 1960s. However, this left a lot of artwork created but no longer used in the project, such as my 1980s Watchbell Lane, on screen for mere seconds and hidden by the writing. So in this video, I will show the making of that work, allowing it to have its moment. Okay, here is Watchbell Lane opened in Photoshop, and here we can see the layers that created the image. 47 in total, grouped into folders according to type. For example, the different foxgloves are in one folder and forget-me-nots in another. Labelling when working with this many layers is really important. If I want to move just one yellow foxglove slightly, it's easy to locate that layer. Each of these layers are created from photographs that I have personally taken. I have my own library of stock images, meaning I do not have to buy a license for an image. I then cut out that particular part of the image I need, as shown here. So you can imagine the work involved in 47 layers. Yes, AI is quicker, but I enjoy creating my own work. When creating an image, I make a folder on my desktop so that everything relating to that image is kept in that folder. Once completed, the folder is then stored on a portable hard drive, ensuring my poor old laptop does not get slowed down with stored images. Right, let's take away all these layers. Bing, bing, bing. To look at the base image that I began building on. This too is from a photo I took of the very real Watchbell Lane in Newport on the Isle of Wight. However, the colours are unrealistic and vibrant, like a cartoon. I wanted to create a fantasy image, a magical lane, inspired in part by the wonderful Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, whichever way you decide to pronounce it. This is how it began. The photo was taken on my phone, so it's already a compressed JPEG rather than RAW, which is a larger uncompressed image. The moment it's compressed, information is lost. Before I do anything, I convert the JPEG to a PNG. JPEG is a lossy file, and a PNG, portable network graphic, isn't. So anything I do from now on will not degrade over time. Then I change the resolution, DPI. This is basically the level of detail a digital image holds. It is determined by the number of pixels. DPI simply means dots per inch for printing. 72 DPI is not going to be as defined as 300 DPI. However, and this next part is really important, what it will not do is add more information to the existing image. That's already defined, a done deal. However, any further work on the image will have that extra definition. Prep work done. Now the magic begins. Okay, first it's add the colour. Now I do not colour it in. I enhance the colours that already exist within the image. If we just open up vibrance here. Right, saturation up to 100. Bang. Vibrance 100. Bang. As you can see, this gives us that magical fantasy look. Cartoonish, but not. Then it's dealing with the sky. We shall get rid of the UK nondescript grey sky that is so very common here and turn it into a wonderful rich deep blue for an evening sky, a summer evening. We mask off the area. Right, I'm not going overly fussy here. Select colours from my finished work. Then using the gradient tool, fill it in. Voila! Not masking around every little blip. This is to show how it's done rather than recreating the work again as a perfect copy. Right, next job is brightening up the windows. Again, very roughly using, I'm not sure how you say this, polygonal, I'm sure it's not polygonal, polygonal lasso tool for speed. Then using the brighten contrast so we can lighten the area masked. We do the two larger windows and a little doorway like this. Here I am showing the straight line the masked area has created. I would normally take more care around every lump and bump. However, most of this will be lessened when I use the dodge tool. Light does not work in straight lines. It seeps around corners. This creates a wonderfully inviting look to the windows. You just want to look inside. Here I am using the dodge tool around the doors and windows. This lightens the area without hard lines. It's on the soft brush mode. On the main image, I have got rid of the red door you can just about see in the distance. I've put bright yellow shining out. Makes it look like the door's open, again with the inviting. Right, let's not leave out these upper windows. I will use window masking or the lasso. The poly lasso. Let's just stick with that. To brighten as if the light is shining out. So already we can see that lovely warm summer nighttime look. More dodge tool around the sides of the windows and on the pink walls windows. More dodge tool around the sides of the windows and on the pink walls windows. Everybody's in tonight, they've all got their lights on. In here is a little doorway, so we need to lighten that up, as if it is open, with the light spilling out over the step. I do that to the other doorways, and then dodge where the window light would be on the path. Not brilliant, but it's good enough to show you as a how-to. It could be tidied up a lot better than that. Next, we remove a couple of vents poking out of the wall because I don't want them there, and I'll be using the clone tool. Here, it just copies another piece and clones it to where those vents are. I still have the old CS6 because it's loaded onto an old laptop. And apart from, spot heel, I think the spot heel's much improved now, but I rarely use it anyway. I prefer the clone tool. So we'll just get rid of these vents and just cover over where this blue is, and we can see that it goes down lower than the main fascia, but I'm not going to be too fussy. It's basically just to show you. Next, it's turn the string lights on and the street lamp. I will use the dodge tool and the clone stamp. I'm not going to do them all, just enough to show you how it was done. Again, lights of course light up the immediate surround area, so we need to recreate that glow as if they're on. Decided on yellow light rather than white, as it's a softer, more inviting look. My next job is to tidy up the fascia on the shops, the little porches and the bell. I am just showing one porch tidy, masking it off, picking the colour, there we go, and a bit more dodging. And then we also do a bit more dodging on a distant doorway, just to emphasise it. Then it's using my stock images of plants to clone stamp along the path edges. Here's some forget-me-nots that edged a path in Millbrook, and some little spring star-shaped flowers that I have no idea what they're actually called, but they were from a photo I took a few years back. They were around a tree just outside where I live. Sadly, none this year, or rather there was, along with bluebells and grape hyacinth. But whoever was cutting the grass for the council in the first spring cut simply scorched earth the lot. All that was left was dust after. Quite sad. Anyway, as you can see, I clone stamped these along the edge of the path too. Okay, a quick close-up of the bell to show what I've done, and we are finished. There were a few more hanging baskets I cloned, but after it was add each in layers. I am finishing showing how the odd bits of ivy on the wall was created using the paintbrush tool. I've got quite a few different leaf shapes in paintbrush. The shape dynamics, the scattering, and the colour dynamics, yellow to green. Right, now let's put my stock image of the lane back to its original and close, because I don't want to save it like that. I want it in its original form. Then I can start repopulating my main image with its layers. Forget-me-nots, window box, foxgloves, painted ivy, and so forth. This little pot here I made up. No such flowers, it was just pretty colours. However, these beautiful wisteria flowers was from a photo I took of the gorgeous hanging wisteria walkway in Southampton's East Park. The park is between the City Gallery and Solent University. Just glorious. The street light was just a copy and paste of the original. Lastly, the ivy, that was from my shed, and the window, that was from St Denis Station. Sorted. The next part deals with how I wanted the work displayed. Righto, this was the plan, to create a large A0 image that is backlit to look like a window. You will notice the image is slightly different. The ivy is not covering the street light. I've not decided yet to ivy or not to ivy the light. I printed the image out on normal photo paper in A0 as shown here, with my foot in the picture to show the size. The definition was good enough to go large. However, for an actual backlit image, it needs specialised paper, designed to enhance the visibility and vibrancy of the image when lit from behind. As a test, I began small and bought a small slimline A2 light box. I'm aware these can be made with LED lights, but I wanted that lovely uniform light that spreads evenly across the image, as shown here. Oh, that's not the frame, by the way. It's still in its packing. I bought some A2 backlit paper and printed it out. It worked. However, I needed to make it look like a window. So I placed a wooden canvas stretcher over the front of it to give me a rough idea. That worked too, giving it another dimension. But I was not sure about the middle bar. Just to clarify, I would not actually use a rough wood canvas stretcher in the front. It's not designed to be seen. For the finished work, I would use my local professional framer who uses high-quality materials. I then used Photoshop on the image to turn the frame white. Once again, a bit Reggie rough guts, but I'm looking to see if it works. I took out the middle bar. Much better. I'm leaning towards no middle bar and the ivy off the light. I know why I covered it, to stop the wall light becoming the focal point of the picture. The cost for the slim A2 light box was roughly £85, and the A2 backlight paper and printing were subsidised as I was still on my research degree at university. In total, the material costs were kept under £100. However, for an A0 backlight frame, it's roughly between £600 and £1,000 for a good quality frame. And as I recently finished my research degree at university, there were no more subsidies and it was back to the normal cost of printing. An A0 on specialist paper is roughly £40 to £50. I do miss that aspect of uni. So with the professional framer's costs for the wooden frame overlay, we are already looking at costs between £900 and £1,300 before I even consider the cost of my own time creating it. That makes it more costly than most of my large oil paintings. So, for the time being, it remains a little A2 fantasy window that I use as an evening light in my bedroom. I am considering selling digital licenses, starting cheap for the personal, up to not cheap for commercial. Another consideration is selling digital files of the work. Then one can choose what size and what to print it on. I'm also thinking about printing and signing some A4 posters of Watchbell Lane as gifts for donations in a GoFundMe type scenario, although I've yet to set that up. I will eventually. A little Easter egg, by the way. All my streets are lanes, just like my surname. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this content, do subscribe to get more content. Please hit the little bell notification and give it a like and share. It all helps. And thanks for watching.